Alright guys, Tactical here back again today. First of all, you may notice a change in scenery. I'm back in my hometown in Colchester due to, if you guys don't know, I work for Intel right now. I'm on a placement year in my university degree. And then say, due to this whole global pandemic situation, you shouldn't be working in the office if you can avoid it. So now I'm going to be working from home for who knows how long. Could be a month, could be 2 months, could be even longer. Who knows what's going to happen. But for now, I'm going to be back at home. So change of scenery in the background. Today, I wanted to talk about something a little bit different though. I wanted to talk about Temp, Donovan LaRoda as a player. He's been around for a number of years at this point. A lot of the times I've given him a free pass and I've said that, look, he's a very talented player. One of these times, one of these teams will come together and win a championship. But given Dallas Empire just walked away with the Los Angeles Guerrillas home championship, the likes of Hook on that team, of course, a former teammate of Temp's, as we will talk about here, and then Ilian Shotzi also on that team, getting a championship, I suppose you could call it, under their belt. Temp being around a very long time, we've always talked about how he has no championships, technically, in his entire lifespan in Call of Duty. What is the reason for this? New York Subliners, a team that you would expect to be pretty damn good on paper, looks like it's a failing team once again. Temp probably needs to, well, at least the community, I'm sure, is having a good look at Temp, and maybe he needs to have a look at himself to see exactly what's gone wrong here, given he's got so much talent, but none of it can actually get down on paper to get a victory on the board. Be intrigued to hear your thoughts in the comment section below as always. Like if you guys enjoy, subscribe if you're new for sure. First of all, this from Tish, of course, from Empire. I think he did another tweet a couple of days ago saying, like, he feels kind of lost right now, which I do definitely understand, being a substitute on the Empire. Like, yes, you're getting the paycheck, but, you're never really going to get anywhere, right? So it's a difficult situation, but regardless, Aspire, a team that Tish was on before, owes our old champs team 2k each, but man, thank God they were sending teams to locals and events left, right and centre and offering them salary on top of it. So thanks very much to Isolate for pointing this out to me. But yeah, as Tish goes on to say here, their whole plan was to pay off the debts and, just another one of these situations with some organisations. We're being paid what we're owed, didn't want to go public, but sometimes you gotta do what you gotta do. So classic amateur esports stuff, of course. Now we're in this franchise league, you would hope that kind of stuff wouldn't happen anymore. It still could definitely happen from the amateur side of things, but hopefully it won't be as common going forwards. Also, of course, yesterday I talked about Nasty and this move to the Royal Ravens. One thing to mention, though, is Crone says here on, on Reddit, as we'll look at in just a second, he wasn't scrimming, he was scrimming from London yesterday. So the title of this post was on Reddit that, of course, there's this travel ban going on right now from, well, it was mainland Europe to the US, but it's also now just been extended to include the UK and Ireland as well, as of, I think, tomorrow morning or something like that. So if Nasty doesn't have a visa sorted out yet and he isn't already over there, this is not an ideal situation because London have just subbed him in. However, they would of course want to play their professional matches from in the States because yes, it's going to be an online league now as we've discussed over the last few days, but they're going to be playing online, still want to be in the States so you can get the best internet possible, right? That's certainly understandable. If they don't have a visa sorted out for Nasty right yet, he won't be able to have gone over there today, which therefore means they won't be able to play with him online unless they want to play with him from all the way over in the UK, which is surely not the right move. I can't imagine that would still be a superior team with all the lag involved in that situation. But yeah, it's going to be very, very difficult for him to get over given the current situation, even if a visa is on the way. And as Crone says here on Twitter, so he runs the CDL Intel account, they flew Shawnee in. He was in Charlotte yesterday with the team. So seems like a bit of a backup situation. Shawnee for Rated would be an interesting move, right? But regardless, he was on the Instagram stories and stuff. I couldn't quite get to find. I think the Instagram stories are like timed out or whatever. But regardless, something to keep your eyes on going forwards. Let's talk about Donnie Temp then. So this is Temp's career in a nutshell. If you're not really aware of this guy, he played back in the Advanced Warfare days. Then due to age restrictions that came in after Advanced Warfare, like he couldn't play in the World Championships because you had to be 18 for that because it was like a proper promotion of the game. Other events you could play, I think he was probably 15 at the time, and then it took all the way to Infinite Warfare for him to make the return on Straight Rippin', then through the World War II season on this Team Envy squad. So let's talk about a few things. Firstly, wanted to mention, Temp is a really, really talented player. We'll look at in a second here some of his statistics from back in the Advanced Warfare days. Some really impressive stuff, and his stats on the whole over the last few years have been pretty good. But of course, it's not all about stats, it's a team game. So let's have a look at some of these results. Back in Advanced Warfare, joins this team of Elevator, immediately gets right up here with some really, really well-known players, right? Classic, TJ Halley, Crowder, both players who have all won events. Crowder, of course, a world champion. TJ Halley's done it a couple of different times here. Then he goes on to join this slightly different team with Slacked on the squad. Then this squad with Slasher on the Denial Esports, pretty famous team to be honest, or infamous to some degree. Washington, D.C., they come second. MLG World Finals, they come second. Like, this is an incredibly competitive era, right? You had OpTic Gaming around, you had FaZe Clan around, very, very strong squads. Of course, the Denial squad actually did win the World Championship with Crowder on and Clayster and all of that. It was a different team at the time, that earlier in the season than we're looking at July here, but still. Denial was considered a very reputable, of course, not, as it turned out, not a reputable organisation at all, but, you know, a big name in Call of Duty at the time. So the attempt to walk right into this squad was really, really impressive. And then at the World Finals, they end up coming second place with Slasher, Hook, Temp and Classic. But after that, Temp is forced to step away from the scene, and we wouldn't see him for a number of years. So I just wanted to look at real quick, these were the statistics here from the World Finals event we just looked at. So Classic, Temp, Hook and Slasher, all the links to this down below. They go 8-2 in terms of match count, 28-10 in map count, so really impressive team, as you can see. And Temp, over all of these 38 maps, or 35 as it says here, 38 up here, I'm not exactly sure what this discretion is about, but regardless, Temp has a 1.17 KD overall. Hook not far behind, and people are back in the day say like, Hook, wow, what a player he was in Advanced Warfare, like the way he could use the movement. But at this event, it was actually Temp leading up in terms of slaying. You know, Classic about even, Slasher even a little bit lower KD than you might expect. Temp and Hook just dominating all over the map. In terms of Slayer rating, Hook was slightly above Temp, but still, both incredibly impressive players, right? So this was a very interesting squad at the time. Of course, they were forced to split up going into the next season due to the whole age restriction situation. And then we saw Temp, of course, come back into the fray in the Infinite Warfare days, playing alongside Dashy, Ricky, and Studdy on the straight ripping squad. They had some decent performances, but didn't really get that far at the actual World Championship, coming up top 16. So then, going into the World War II season, Slasher decides it's time to roll back the clock a little bit, bring Temp into this new Team Envy squad that he got control of. So effectively, this is the same squad we saw back in Advanced Warfare that had so much success, came second in the World Finals, and looked like, well, yeah, at times, one of the very best teams in the entire game. So this squad reunites, and a lot of people are expecting great things going into the World War II season here, but it doesn't really happen. They play several events. Fourth was the best they managed at the Atlanta Open. And then Slasher, after this Stage 1 playoffs and they come top 8, he's like, I've had enough, I'm a free agent, you know, someone come and bid for me. And of course, Rise Nation make the bid, swap him out for Methods. He goes on to win 2 events and, you know, become one of the best teams in the game, right up there with Team Caliber, of course. So the rest of the team, you would have expected this to be super good, right? Hook, Temp and Classic. Classic was actually pretty decent in that game as well. Hook and Temp, of course, how good they were back in Advanced Warfare. People were expecting great things, and Hook had been over to Halo and won a couple of championships over there. So the question was at the time, and I think a lot of people were pointing their eyes on Hook, like, look at who is this guy? People would talk so highly of him back in the Advanced Warfare days, goes over to Halo, comes back, doesn't really have too much success. But Temp, probably in hindsight, is the more interesting part of this team. And one thing you'll notice with a lot of Slasher teams is that Slasher's teams are either fantastic or they're not very good at all. Like, pretty bad, honestly, quite often. And a lot of this comes down to if Slasher can, you know, he has a different leadership style to a lot of people. Can he get across to you what he thinks? Because a lot of the times, what Slasher's saying about the way people play in the game is the correct way to say, and it is the correct way to play the game. However, he doesn't always say that and express it in the right way. And if you're a teammate that can't get along with that and say, like, who is this guy? Like, what's he telling me what to do? Like, you know, calm down, old man, that kind of thing. A kind of attitude that I think Temp has, to be honest, it's going to be very difficult to do very well. You see this with Slasher's teams. When Pharaoh was on the team, to be honest, in the 100 Thieves days, early season, they swap him out for Priester, someone who's quite happy to listen, and that team becomes the best team in the game, right? At least in the middle of the season. So, look, that's what I imagine happened on this squad. Temp then goes on to Echo Fox. They have a couple of decent results here, but it falls apart of the World League Championships. They even lose to, you know, Tommy's Vitality team. I think that event to not even make bracket play, you know, falling out in the same position as OpTic Gaming. So that wasn't a pretty event at all. Facento then pretty much retired after that. And then we go into the Black Ops 4 season. They form this Splice team, and it's all looking so good. You got Accuracy, you got Looney here, Aqua, Jerd, and Temp. Like, on paper, this is a pretty damn nasty squad, but it doesn't turn out that way. They go through the Black Ops 4 season. They have a great result early on, right? They come third. They lost super narrowly to OpTic Gaming in that tournament, who ended up winning. Like, they got comeback on Seaside, Hardpoint, of course, which a game I analysed at the time. Pretty incredible map. If they win that, they probably win the entire tournament. But it doesn't happen. They come second at Fort Worth to Luminosity with the whole Rampart, classic on the Rampart type of thing. Old teammate, I guess, getting revenge against against Temp, and then from there it all goes downhill. Accuracy ends up getting out of the team, Nolson comes in, has some decent performances, and then they get Hook back in the squad alongside Temp in the past. And this team at the time, I thought, damn, like on paper, this could be filthy, like they could be really, really good. Like, the way the game was playing, it was more fast-paced. Maybe you don't need accuracy anymore. Aqua can run the assault rifles, and you got some super fast-paced front lines, as long as the guys listen to Looney and, deal with his style, I suppose. However, it doesn't work out, and we're seeing the same thing in Modern Warfare. We see some really great teams on paper, none of it works. And the fact that Hook has gone over to, a lot of people would say after this failed, I think most people's eyes are on Hook and saying, like, look, this guy isn't what he's all made up to be. People say, like, Hook the Nuke's a monster, but his teams aren't having results. But now he's gone onto the Dallas Empire, and he's actually won a championship with the team on paper. Okay, you got Clay and Crim, those are impressive players, but then again, you're looking at this New York Subliners team, and you're seeing ZooMaa, you're seeing Accuracy, you're seeing Attach, and Zero, of course, all players who have won championships and world championships in the case of Attach, right? So you're looking at this squad, also thinking this is going to be nasty, but as it turns out, it's the Dallas Empire that look very, very good early season and win a championship. So in effect, that not necessarily saying it absolves Hook of all blame, but it shows he isn't a guy who's incapable of winning championships and that kind of facet of his game. However, Temp, you have to ask the question, right? Because this guy, he likes talking smack, and I respect his character and the fact that he's an enjoyable guy to watch, right? Like, he riles people up, he's a pretty intense character, and he creates some drama and some rivalries, which I do enjoy watching. So I definitely respect that aspect of his game. However, you gotta walk the walk, right, is what I'm trying to say here. And the fact of the matter is that on some fantastic squads over the last few years of his career, despite having good statistics, right, let's look at this. This is from the Pro League back in Black Ops 4, sorted by rating. So the rating is calculated based on, like, effectiveness and these kind of things. So he has a 1.07 or AKD and a 1.12 overall KD. So this means slightly lower search KD than respawn KD, 0.31 X factor, which is pretty low, to be honest, based on the average, and on only a 1.0 rating. So despite a 1.12 KD, only a 1.0 rating, which generally shows he's doing less objective work for the team. So that's pretty interesting to look at. And then we look at this from the World War II days. So Temp at a 1.07 here in respawn KD, 0.98 in search and destroy KD. So once again, good stats over 203 maps, 1.07 KD. You can't go wrong with that, right? However, if you're not going to win championships and you're not even going to get close at times in this modern era since he's come back from being 18, 19, or 20, exactly whatever he is now, it's just not good to look at. So I'm really intrigued to hear your thoughts down below. These are the statistics right now, and even this season, like, he's below a 1 KD, right? And he's playing kind of aggressive, but look, what are your thoughts on Temp as a player? I respect him as an individual, as a character. I think he's done a lot of good things for, getting excitement up and creating drama and storylines in the scene. I like that. However, I think there's a degree to which he needs to humble himself and say, look, probably some of the things that I'm doing, at least in how I'm acting as a teammate, are causing these teams to break down. The fact that Zero's off the team shows to me that there's a probably inherent, like, toxic team culture, and probably part of that comes from Temp. But the fact of the matter is, he's had so many great opportunities and great teams and great offers over the years. Are those going to start drying up? Because he fails to convert it into championships, and all the players he ends up playing with go on to play with different people and winning championships, latest example being Hook. Your thoughts down below, I'd greatly appreciate hearing them. What do you think Temp should do going forwards? Is there room for manoeuvre here? And will he ever win a championship is the question that remains. Like if you guys enjoy, subscribe if you're new as always. Thanks for watching. I will see you next time.